I really believed it would make me happy. The promotion, the bigger house, the recognition. I told myself that once I reached a certain level, everything would finally settle inside me. I wouldn't feel restless anymore. I wouldn't feel behind. I wouldn't feel like I was still trying to prove something. For years, I lived with this quiet assumption that happiness was just ahead of me. Not here, not now, ahead. I built my entire life around that belief. Every decision, every sacrifice, every long night at the office was tied to this idea that one day, when I arrived, I would finally exhale. And when I did arrive, when I stood exactly where I once dreamed of standing, I remember thinking something I didn't expect. Why doesn't this feel different? Nothing was wrong. That's what made it confusing. I had stability. I had respect. I had what most people would call success. But inside, there was still this low hum of dissatisfaction. Not loud, not dramatic, just constant, like background noise I had grown used to ignoring. I told myself it was normal, that this was adulthood, that maybe happiness was overrated anyway. But the truth is, I was afraid to look deeper, because if I admitted that achieving everything hadn't filled the space inside me, then I would have to question the entire path I had chosen. And questioning your own life at 55 is terrifying. I grew up believing that being valuable meant being useful. My father worked hard his entire life. He was respected for his reliability, not for his joy. So I absorbed that lesson early. Work hard, provide, don't complain, don't slow down. I decided I would go further than he did, earn more, achieve more, be seen more. And I did. But somewhere along the way, I stopped asking myself a simple question. Am I doing this because it matters to me, or because I'm afraid of not mattering? That distinction took me decades to understand, and it changes everything. Achievement is addictive. The praise feels good. The recognition feels earned. Every milestone convinces you that you're getting closer to peace. But the closer I got to what I thought would satisfy me, the more I realized something unsettling. The finish line kept moving. There was always another goal, another benchmark, another comparison. When I became a manager, I wanted to be a director. When I became a director, I wanted executive status. When I got that, I wanted security. It never stopped. And because it never stopped, neither did the quiet anxiety underneath it. The real cost wasn't visible at first. It didn't show up as failure. It showed up as absence. I was home but distracted. I was present but distant. I listened but only halfway. One evening my daughter looked at me while she was talking and said, "Dad, you're not here." She didn't say it angrily. She said it calmly. And that was worse, because she was right. My mind was always somewhere else, planning, fixing, improving, preparing. I had confused providing with connecting, and those are not the same thing. That moment forced me to confront something uncomfortable. I had built a life that looked impressive from the outside, but inside it felt mechanical, efficient, structured, predictable. I had optimized everything except my own presence. I told myself I would slow down later, enjoy things later, rest later. But later is a dangerous word. Later becomes next year. Next year becomes the next decade. And before you realize it, You've spent half your life postponing your own experience of it. Here's what I eventually understood. Happiness isn't a reward for achievement. It's a skill. And like any skill, it has to be practiced in the present. You don't unlock it when you hit a milestone. You cultivate it by paying attention to ordinary moments. But I didn't know how to do that. I only knew how to chase. I was excellent at chasing, terrible at appreciating. And appreciation is where peace lives. I also believed that control would make me feel safe. If I planned carefully enough, saved aggressively enough, anticipated every risk, then nothing could surprise me. But control didn't reduce my anxiety. It expanded it. The more I tried to manage every outcome, the more fragile everything felt. Because life refuses to be fully controlled. Markets shift, health changes, people leave, circumstances evolve. And when your peace depends on stability, you become afraid of movement. The turning point didn't come from a crisis. It came from exhaustion, emotional exhaustion, the kind that creeps in quietly. I remember sitting alone one Sunday afternoon thinking, if this is success, why do I still feel like I'm running? That question stayed with me. It followed me for months. And instead of pushing it away, I finally let it sit. That was the beginning of real change. I started asking different questions. Not what's next, but what matters. Not how do I get ahead, but what am I trading for this? Time is always the currency, and I had been spending it like it was unlimited. I had assumed I would always have more chances to be present, more chances to repair, more chances to rest. But time doesn't negotiate. It moves quietly and consistently, without asking if you're ready. One of the hardest truths I faced was this. I didn't need more success. I needed more honesty. Honesty about what I valued. Honesty about what I feared. Honesty about the fact that I was chasing approval, disguised as ambition. I wanted people to see me as capable, strong, important. But underneath that desire was something simpler. I wanted to feel enough. And I had been outsourcing that feeling to external achievements my entire life. No title can give you that. No paycheck can secure it. No applause can stabilize it. That sense of enough has to come from within. And it only comes when you stop measuring yourself against everyone else. I spent years comparing houses, comparing careers, comparing progress. Comparison is a quiet thief. It steals contentment before you even notice it's gone. As I got older, I began noticing something interesting. The happiest people I knew weren't necessarily the most accomplished. They were the most present. They paid attention. They laughed easily. They weren't trying to win invisible competitions. They weren't proving anything. They were just living fully. And that simplicity felt radical to me, because I had complicated everything. If you're chasing something right now, thinking it will finally fix how you feel, pause. Ask yourself what you're really hoping it will give you. Respect, security, validation, belonging. Those are internal needs. External goals can enhance your life, but they cannot replace self-acceptance. And self-acceptance doesn't arrive automatically with age. It arrives with awareness. I thought success would make me happy. I was wrong. Success amplified who I already was. And if you're restless now, achievement won't erase that restlessness. It will follow you upward. Don't wait decades to understand that. Don't postpone presence. Don't postpone joy. Don't postpone being honest about what you truly want. And if something I shared today resonated with you, let me know in the comments. I read them. Tell me what you thought would make you happy. And if these conversations help you reflect in a deeper way, follow the channel so we can keep having them together. Because one day you'll look back and realize the mistake wasn't aiming high. The mistake was forgetting to live while you were climbing.